Adam Messner, tell me how you went 4:23.2 in 97.
Well, that pool is just an absolutely magic pool. Like, first of all, we're going from Michigan down to Florida, so that was different. We didn't travel much growing up, and that felt like it was a bit of a stage, and it, like, the lights and the crowd, and it was just magic, right? Like, it was dark, the weather was perfect, and like the year before that, I think it was the year before that, where Dodd Wales had an absolutely insane meet. And so I saw what Dodd Wales was doing in that pool. And so he wrote the blueprint. He swam out of his mind, was killing everybody. In fact, he had, and I'm not talking about the race, I'm not answering your question, but like, in my mind, this is how I did what I did, right? I followed the blueprints and just followed the path that was laid out before me. So if you compare that pool to like Eastern Michigan, which is what, 100 feet deep, the entire way of the 25, this pool is not like mechanically that fast. The Fort Lauderdale pool, I don't think, is mechanically that fast, but it felt fast. That night, it felt fast. Felt like I had just totally.
Adam, I've been there. I've been there for YNats in Fort Lauderdale at night.
Yeah.
Set the scene for people who have not. The energy in the pool, but more importantly, right, the setting, the sunset, the colors. It seems like it's always a great night in Fort Lauderdale in April, and it just like, explain to people why, when you say the pool isn't fast, but this environment is fast. Help people understand what that setting is like in Fort Lauderdale.
So like, yeah, right. So you've got, at a dual meet, a high school dual meet, you've got two teams. Like, let's say these are high school rivals that have been battling each other for decades, and they do their cheers to compete with one another. It is like that with all of these YNAT teams that come together, and they all want to have the best cheer. And every single session, there is just team after team cheering. And everyone is like lining the pool, shouting, paying attention to what's happening in the pool at any given time. The stands, it feels like they're right on top of the pool. And like, oftentimes you'll swim a race where you can't hear the crowd that well. You could always hear the crowd there. I don't know what it was. And so like, and I could feel my teammates cheering, and I knew it was a fast race. But again, as you described, the sun setting in the background, the sky's orange and fades to dark. It is just magic. I mean, I'm not religious, but that meet was blessed. It felt that way. And I felt like that race in particular, I was like swimming above myself and just like beyond my talent. And like, another example of like getting out of my own way, like I went faster than I probably thought that I could, because everyone told me that I could. And I had seen Dodd Wales do it that prior year. So we had probably a 10-second lead in the 800 freestyle relay. And we had a pretty strong anchor swimmer, and Dodd Wales ran him down and beat us by like half a second the prior year. And I couldn't believe what I saw. And I've talked to him about that race since then. We were teammates at Stanford, and he was like, yeah, I still don't know how I did it. There's something about that pool. There's something about that place. And so I saw someone do something that couldn't be done the prior year. And so it felt to me like everything came together like I knew it can at that meet.
So let me ask you about one other race that happened there, and I could be wrong about this, and you need to set the record straight. But I think Eric Matuszak has a great claim to be the #1 200 freestyler in the history of the state for going 136.7 in 1994. And that state record stood for a long, long time, like 13 years, 14 years before somebody came along and beat it. Is it true that in the middle of the relay, you went 136.4? Does that sound familiar? Because I was looking at the splits, and on the 800 free relay at YNATS your senior year, I see a 136.40, which obviously not with the relay start. But you had not been, the fastest 200 free that I can find for you is 37.8 in your 18 and unders. Yeah. Tell me about that 36.4, and it looked to me like you're on the end of the relay and you run a guy down to win the national championship. Did this happen?
Yeah, that was.
Tell the people what happened, Adam.
Well, I mean, that was like channeling my inner Dodd Wales. He had shown that was possible. So I was like, I'm gonna get, even though Dodd's not in this pool, I'm gonna get him back. And there's just, again, that pool at that time, that place was electric. I'm trying to think of some of the other people there that swam outside of their heads at that pool. But like, to this day, that meet in that pool was like one of my favorite, fastest, most electric memories.